Hello to the chicos and the chicas. Welcome back to the second chapter, episode, leg of the speedrun with principal chess. Today on the menu is a game where I am in the black trunks against my opponent, Checkmate TR. Checkmater, I don't know. And we are going to play e4, e5 because we are principal dudes. It's also interesting to play e4, e5 in very low rated games, in the sense that this is the most likely thing that my opponent will be somewhat booked up on. So we'll see what opening we are facing, and it's actually gonna be none other than the 4 knights, which is definitely a solid choice by all means. Bishop c4 is a common mistake here, very common mistake here on low levels, allowing this knight takes e4 for Carino, and here we go. So it's not for no reason that is the most common mistake here. So knight e4. Incidentally, this is the opening or a similar thing that happened in the first video, if I recall rightly. So the idea behind the piece sack that I just did is that I'm going to immediately regain the material with d5, which conveniently forks both of these pieces, and in the aftermath, I'm going to emerge with a greater center, no matter how they respond. Bishop d5 is one of the worst responses, because white, he should think in terms of, I'm losing one of them, we prefer bishops to knights, how do I get to keep the bishop? And therefore bishop d3 takes and then bishop takes e4 would have been a much better choice here. Queen takes. Now I've got the 2 bishops, so I've got a superior central situation, excuse me. And once again, it's quite amazing how the 2 games are mirroring each other in terms of the types of mistakes my opponents make. Excuse me, I'm still recovering. That knight move is very problematic. And the reason for that is because it's hanging in air. It's not attacking anything in a meaningful way. And when I attack it, it will have to go back here, which is a tragic, really, really bad square. I was already thinking of e4 here. And by the way, here we are going to learn about a new concept, which is that when knights are guarding each other, it's always bad. And by the way, quite often you see that on lower levels, people think that it's good because they support each other. No, it's really bad because they actually very awkwardly rely on each other. So when I play e4, this can't move away because I will take its buddy. The reason why e4 doesn't win on the spot is because they have this queen e2 pin on my pawn. So I'm just gonna kick it. And after knight h3, I haven't made up my mind. I've got bishop g4. I've got e4. Likely that will be our move, by the way. And that's about it. So, the chess principle that we need to put into action here, and a lot of people up to an additional 1,000 rating points to this tend to regularly miss this concept, is that every time a developed knight can be kicked out with a pawn push, that should be your first intention, your first idea to do. And that's exactly what we do. Because what it does is that it disallows your opponent from continuing development. It forces them to make a move they don't want to do. And usually, the knight ends up on a far inferior square than where it came from. Right, so now you can see knights on the grim, g5, and I trap the knight. And that's it. So let's take a quick stock of what I did in this opening. I exploited my opponent's inaccuracy / mistake with bishop c4. I then followed it up with the fork. And then, as somewhat typical mistakes started to escalate, and it has led immediately to a very unfortunate situation when both knights are extremely exposed. And we are going to take advantage of that by playing g5. for most intents and purposes, the game is over. But of course, on this level, losing a piece is by no means the end of a chess game necessarily. But as you go higher on the ladder, it will become one. So he's throwing it away, and since I can take it with a developing move, I will do so. Observe how I'm dominating the center. My opponent has absolutely zilch. Yeah, like I said this in the previous game too, that once the dominoes begin to fall on this level, it's extremely commonplace that after the first really sizable blunder, usually there comes an avalanche of further mistakes. So now my opponent played g3. I would like to turn this into something really, really educational, so hear me out here. On 500-ish level, when g3 comes, the first thing that people notice is the tension between the pawns. If we now take a leap and we go from international master level, for argument's sake, where I am, this is the last thing that I notice in terms of the level of importance and the things that jump at me when this happens. The things that jump at me instead of this tension is the diagonal that highlights an unguarded piece and the possibility to come in here for a kill. I can't care less about this. My opponent is sending me very cool images, like chess.com standard images. So e3 is a cheeky move here to go after the rook. But I prefer knight d4 because it's more principled, centralizing more pieces, coming in for the kill. And the pawn is neither here nor there. Like, I can't care less about the f4 pawn. We are now going for the king. Okay, so now we have a beautiful checkmate here with knight check, king check, king here, and queen d3. And once again, what you notice first about c3, if you want to use that analogy or comparison that I did before, on low levels, it's knight hanging. On greater levels, d3 square. Because that was the missing link from my mate pattern. When I played knight d4, I already saw check, check. But after king e2, I didn't have a mate. Because if I give a check on this diagonal, they have d3. And c3 just made that happen. So check. King e2 is met by mate, and king f1 is met by mate in 2. Last time I got roasted a bit by the chat, or rather the comments section in YouTube, that I spoke too much before I delivered the mate in 1. So I will deliver the mate in 1, and then I will talk. Excuse me. Except there is not a lot to say, because I pretty much covered everything during the game, but I'm going to click game review just to give myself the opportunity to show you a number of things. My opponent opted to be friends. Really? It's only 90% accuracy? I wonder why that is. So best move, best move, best move. Best move. Aha! So apparently it was more accurate to play bishop h3 here. But less principled as far as I'm concerned. And then g5, good, 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 good. Wow, so I lost 10 accuracy points for a move that is completely winning instead of a different one that is winning. Okay, I guess. Anyway, so let's talk about the meaningful things. The reason why this is not good is because after 94, if you sack the bishop, then I get the full center. People erroneously think that this king is weak. It's not. Because the white queen can't get to it. I will kick the knight out and I will pin the knight. White is collapsing already here. Because I have the 2 bishops and I'm dominating the center. Bishop b5 is even worse here. Because then after take queen d5, this double attack is really, really unpleasant. Actually, no, it's not worse, but it's also not great. And so the best course of action is to retain the bishop with bishop d3. And now white is threatening to take these two. So I have to play bishop d6 to cover e5. And then after d4, it is a playable game for white. But after bishop d5, queen d5, now I have got a superior center, beautiful development. The bishops are ready to join the fray. I have got two bishops. D3 on knight c3 would have been the acceptable moves here, by the way. D3 dominantly because it defends the knight, develops the bishop. That's principled chess. What am I meant to do in the opening? Cover the center, develop my pieces. And if your moves do neither of these, you're likely making a mistake. Is this covering the center? No. Is it developing anything? No. Is it a mistake? Answer on the screen in 2 reds. And once again, the rest was... why was this so bad? Like, is there a... like... Yeah, I get e3, but like... yeah, I don't see why this is so much more winning than what I did. I really don't. I mean, knight fg1 is the engine's recommendation. Which is just tragic. Okay, yeah, this is why we don't care about engines' comments, by the way, below 2000 rating. Or at least 1500. And yeah, my comment here about this is a very important one because a lot of low-rated players tend to get lost in completely irrelevant, unimportant details. I'm 2 pieces up. My job now is to finish the game. This pawn hanging here is utterly meaningless compared to the importance of this knight coming in from here. I didn't see a force mate here. But it's because I can't calculate 11 moves ahead, excuse me. Yeah, castles and then some kind of a queen check is going to finish the biz, but we got very lucky with c3, which once again, as I highlighted, weakened this square tragically. The nicer checkmate would have been probably this, but that's the same story essentially. Yeah, so that was it, folks. What we can take away from this is not to forget to put your pieces in the center. As you could see, that's what I did throughout the game. And I also followed the principle of kicking developed knights, although the engine didn't like it. And then we mopped up in style. This was still pretty easy. And we met with very, very limited resistance. No offense to our opponent. I don't know if I'm gonna upload all the 400 games as I'm climbing. Maybe I will skip a few. We'll see. Anyway, thank you very much, guys, for tuning in. I will be back with the next soon. Thanks for watching. Bye. Oh, don't forget to, you know, smash the like button, sub, send me love, all those things. That's very important to keep the algo rolling. So once again, thanks for watching. Bye.